You're listening to The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio. Brought to you by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Online at joeskarting.com.
Well, this is turn 3 on The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, located at 23rd Ave, next to AMC Theaters, and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. You can get to Joe's today, 23rd Avenue. You got to get down there. Josh, I know you're a frequent racer down at Joe's Karting.
Used to be.
Usually in the winter.
Usually in the wintertime when you're not racing.
Not so much in the summer.
No.
How's your record against Bud? I know we can't listen to him because he'll tell us he beats you every time.
Honestly, how many times have you never beaten me?
Never beaten you?
Yeah, tricky. Throw in that extra word.
I'll just give him the benefit of the doubt, as usually he's hard on the go-karts and he throws a belt off. Whether he's in front of you or not, he usually breaks a go-kart every time I'm there. So.
Kind of like his Dodge?
Yeah, pretty much like his Dodge.
All right.
Really?
They both made in China?
No.
As you heard, joined in studio by driver the number 92, late model and modified. Josh, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yep, thank you for having me.
The High Side Hustler, that's what they call you?
I got a lot of names. Some good, some not so good.
Some of them not FCC friendly.
What are some of them that aren't so good?
Well,
just out of curiosity.
We're not on Slinging Dirt, so we can't say those. This is going to be on the radio. We want to keep the NASCAR show going, so let's not get fines and kicked off the air. But Josh, talk a little bit about what got you into racing. And I know that you've raced a lot of different forms, so talk a little bit about what got you started in racing.
Well, I guess I'd have to blame my dad for that one. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad, but I grew up, he was always racing ever since I ever grew up, since I was a baby. So
who's better?
Me by far. He's getting old. He don't get on the gas.
Wow. Throws dad under the bus.
Amen.
Didn't he come out and race last Friday night with you?
Yeah.
At July 13th?
Yeah, I can't say a whole lot because he finished the race. I didn't.
So,
that is
who's
true.
better?
He's a better points racer. We'll just put it that way.
Although you're not doing too bad in the Crawford County points. I think you're still in the modifieds. You've fallen a little bit, but you had a couple of absences, so
yeah.
We'll get to that a little bit later. So your dad's the one that got you into racing?
Yep. It's all my dad's fault, but it's all right. I take the blame for it with him.
Talk a little bit about how your season's going so far. I know you've had a couple of ups and downs. So
yeah, for the most part, I mean it's pretty good for jumping around as much as I do. But I mean I have some good wins with the late model, the SLMR race up in South Dakota. Pretty proud of that one. It was a little offset. Weren't really expected to go to that deal, and I got some good runs out at I-80 with the modified and just jumping around a little bit. Got some good runs, top fives, a lot of top fives, but. There's some downfalls to it. There's some bad nights.
Now, with that being said, with you driving the late models and the modifieds and the Joe's Karting carts against me where you lose all the time, how many different classes and what all have you raced over the years?
Raced go-karts for over 10 years. Ran some mini sprint races for a couple years, and then did some midget races, late models, modifieds. That's about it.
Is there anything you haven't raced? With a motor and tires. I know we were drag racing down L Street in a dump truck.
Yeah, we were doing that on the way here.
Power breaking down by Kaziski Auto Parts on L Street was interesting in rush hour traffic.
Yeah, it'll happen. There's some black marks down there.
There's some black marks out in front of Joe's Karting also.
What's in your future as far as, are you happy with the late models and the modifieds? Are you going to step up to a sprint maybe?
Yeah, if I could get rid of a late model, it's just real hard to move cars. The economy kind of dropped off a lot. If I could get rid of one late model, I have 2 late models and a modified right now. If I could get rid of one late model, I'd like to get a sprint car put together, try that adventure. A long time ago, there was a guy in Omaha asked me to drive his car. Went and looked at it. I just thought at that time it probably wouldn't be the best thing for me to do with no experience. I was still young in the open wheel deal, so now I'd like to get into it. I'm getting older, just like to try it.
What are you, 24?
No, 27.
He's getting old.
I'm getting old.
You got to think, though. I mean, in the NASCAR world, they're not looking at him anymore.
Oh, no. I mean, yeah, you're looking, I mean, anything over 16, 18 years old anymore in the NASCAR world,
done
you're
looking
done.
at you.
Yeah. I mean,
well, wasn't it what we were talking with Jack the gas man, Jack Dover, and he was talking about how he kind of feels that if something doesn't happen in the next year or two, as far as NASCAR is concerned, the window's closed. And He's what, 20?
He's 2 years older than me, I think, 22, 23. Yeah.
So that's insane to think. But yeah, I mean, there's a young appeal that NASCAR is going for, along with talent. So
yep, and if you don't get taken, you just got to be happy with what you got and enjoy doing what you're doing and just make your life out of it, you know.
And I think right now, Josh is in a good situation. He's raced the Chili Bowl is the most awesome race ever I go to and watch. I wish
I've never been to that yet.
You got to go.
Tell us about it. Tell us what it's like racing down there.
I've been in many Chili Bowls.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
I'm going to leave that one alone.
Little cheese, some crackers. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about racing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Down in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they got what they call the Chili Bowl. Tony Stewart, there's other celebrity drivers that come down there. Tony's down there every year. I drive same car Justin Allgaier drove for years. You know, with contracts and everything, when you get signed on a contract, when you're going to the Cup deal, you got to step back and not do things you'd like to do. I know personally Justin wants to come back to the Chili Bowl. It's something to do. It's about a week long of fun. You get to meet awesome people for opportunities for fire suits, anything. I mean, there's a full trade show out front. About every racer goes down there and watches it. I mean, no matter what
kind of class, no matter what you run.
I mean, if you're racing go-karts or sprint cars or whatever, I mean, modifieds, late models, all those guys, drivers and just people want to watch racing, go down and watch it. I mean, it's...
How have you raced in it?
Usually upside down, not so great, but
I do remember last year I sit and turn one up on the deck, and last year I think you drove in the corner, and I think that's where you kind of just rolled, and I think you put it back on the tires. But when you roll down there, you're out of the race. But
you are.
Yeah,
I think you tipped it over right in front of us.
Yep, and then in my heat race, my teammate that was out of the same trailer, I tried to get underneath him, and he pinched me off and caught the berm and got upside down. And it's just one of the things that I had to hold my gestures and just go back, and we talked about it, and it's just part of racing. And
but you've actually had some success at the Chili Bowl in the years past, though, too.
Yep, the last year what they called a preliminary night, which was if you weren't racing a midget full time with a Power I or ASCS, anything like that was if you were a stock car guy or anything outside of it, or you haven't had success, you ran on a preliminary night, which was a Tuesday night program. But the problem with that was both years, the year before I won that, Bubba Altic won it, and 2 years in a row it was the best race in all week. So they decided just to make the Tuesday night along with the rest of the crowd. They were worried about people, if you haven't been in it, starting a heat race side by side with Tony Stewart and just taking them out because you didn't know what you were doing. But it seemed that everybody knew what they were doing, and it was the best racing of the week, so they just opened it up.
Didn't you win one of those?
Yep, on a Tuesday night in 2010.
Okay.
Now, you talked a little bit about, and I want to bring this up a little bit, and we actually dove into it a lot in our Sling and Dirt series that we actually posted on Wednesday. So when this airs on Sunday, it's a little bit outdated, but if you want to go back and listen to the interview, you and I talked last Friday night up in the announcer's booth at Crawford County that had a little bit of a dust-up with one of the drivers. And we reached out to him. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get a hold of Matt Bonine and trying to talk about, just figure out what happened and the story behind it a little bit. So from your side of it, can you go through the process of that race and then the cool down lap and then what happened after?
Dum. Yeah, that's about right. That's about the way it goes all the time.
Don't worry, I've got security waiting outside too if we need to escort you out.
Yeah, he'll be right. No, I mean, it's just one of them things. Matt was he was upset, and some drivers, they remember things. They don't leave things there that week, whether it happened on purpose or not. Matt was, he was frustrated with me about something. I don't personally know what he's still upset about, but it ended up escalating until the end of the night. After the feature, I went around with the top three guys, and we made an extra lap, and I got ran into after the race. And the second time I got ran into, I just said, nope, I'm going to end it. And I mean, which is not, I'll agree, it's not the correct way to do it, but it stopped the situation right there. It didn't escalate into the pits where people are walking around. Somebody could have got hurt. I mean, it's a good thing it happened the way it did, and it's a bad thing it happened the way it did.
At least nobody got hurt is kind of what you're saying there. And you guys took care of it on the track.
It could have been a lot worse. I mean, I could have got hurt. Matt could have got hurt. I mean, or one of you guys walking around the racetrack. I mean, so it's a good thing it happened the way it did, not that it happened at all. I mean, it shouldn't happen at all.
I do want to add, though, after the races were completely done and your incident was completely done, you were in tech because you finished third. Didn't you and Matt actually start talking civilly? You know, you guys were somewhat civil. You guys started talking about it, but then you got the pressure of 100 people around tech area, and it's like they're trying to poke both bears, and that's uncalled for. We don't need that in racing.
Yeah, there's a lot of fans that just, I mean, you sitting back as a fan, you want to see riled up stuff like that. I mean, if cars just get in a line and they just follow each other and never touch or never bump, never do anything, we're probably not going to have fans for long in the sport. And I mean, that's saying that you have to have people that drive on the edge. And I'll admit, I'm one of those guys. A lot of people say I put on a show, but you being another racer, Andrew's raced against me. You need people like that, but it's not always fun racing with people like that. I mean,
I'm going to say that. Let's take a Kyle Busch here. I'm going to compare Josh Most to Kyle Busch.
That's really funny.
Because this is what it is.
Yes.
Like he said earlier, his dad's a points racer.
That's really funny that you mentioned that, because last week in Sling and Dirt, we compared him to Kyle Busch, that he's a really nice guy off the track. And I've known you for a long time. I graduated with your sister. And a nice family, great, very polite. You haven't done anything ever to me in any of the time we've ever known each other. And yet, when I see you on the track, there's a different side of you that comes out. And comparing you to Kyle Busch isn't completely fair, because I've never seen you completely lose your temper and flip out, but you do have a little bit of a bad boy image there.
No, I wouldn't say bad boy image of him. It's just more he's one of those that you guys never got to see Kelly Bowen race, which when Josh is fast, he could be running second, and he'll junk his stuff to win. And am I lying?
No, absolutely. And
Jesse Sobing's close to the same way in the B mods.
Yep. I mean, when you have one attitude, I have nothing to lose. I mean, I do, but you have nothing to lose when you're at that point where I'm racing for wins, and that's it. That's all that matters. I've had to back down a little bit now. Sitting back and realizing, top fives are a lot better than wins, but in the long run, it looks a lot better. But when you want to just go out there and win races, I'm trying to sell cars, and actually top five sells more cars than what wins do.
Yeah.
And that's more what I'm concentrating on now. I mean, Friday night, you guys probably seen that. Shooting more for a top five rather than for a win. Even though I think everybody was on the edge driving wide open on Friday night, but
Well, let me put you on the spot one last time before we wrap up your interview. One last question. Do you feel like the fine you received from Crawford County was fair?
No, I don't think it is absolutely fair, because in my shoes or an outsider looking at me, if you would have seen, I had nothing to argue about. I was more than happy with what went on through the race. Nothing happened, no drama during the whole night of racing. I wasn't going to start anything. Something started, yeah, I finished it, but it started from another guy, so his fine should have been more than mine, or if I got fined, he should have been double fined. So,
yeah,
that's just the way I see it. Some people agree with me, some won't.
Well, what I found in racing is that most people are going to disagree, and some people will agree.
Yep, that's right.
Or most people will agree to disagree with each other.
I don't know. There's not much agreeing going on in dirt track racing.
No.
The one thing I want to ask you, with all the years that you've been racing, you were just talking about how top five sell more cars than wins, and now you're focusing on more top fives than wins. With that being said, what is your favorite all-time win?
Oh, that'd be I don't know. I'd have to probably say that the Chili Bowl is probably one of my all-time wins, just because of the amount of people that's there. That's one thing I like going to Eagle Raceway. There's more crowd people there than there is any other racetrack, seems like, on a weekly show. They put people in the stands, and people will go out there every week, and the racetrack could have holes in it, and you'll rip your bodywork clear off, but it's worth it because you're racing with fans.
Yep, I would have to agree in some ways.
Yeah, okay.
Some ways.
In some ways.
I'm just tired of replacing my body panel. I've spent enough money this last week. Where
can people find you? Is there a Facebook page or a website that people can track you and find out where you're racing next?
Josh Most on Facebook. There's Edge by Most on Facebook, and there's an Edge by Most website for Edge chassis.
Okay. Edgebymost.com.
Yep.
All right, okay. So those are the websites you can go to. Catch Josh Most. Typically run Friday night at Crawford County. Where do you run Saturday nights? Usually Harlan?
No, I haven't been to Harlan for a few weeks. I-80 some Friday nights and then Eagle, and I don't know. I'm going to start going to some Boone races and just do some jumping around. It seems like you have more fun racing with a whole bunch of other people and kind of traveling, kind of like the SLMR series. It's kind of fun.
So make sure to follow Josh on his Facebook page so you can find out where you're racing next. Josh, thanks for joining us. You're going to stick around for one more turn?
Yeah, sure.
All right, I appreciate it.
I rode with them.
Turn 4 just around the corner, and we're going to talk with Andrew in the infield report about the Silver Dollar Nationals. This is The Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.